Veterinary food inspection specialists play a crucial role in keeping the food for Department of Defense personnel and their families safe through inspections and testing of all consumable products used by the military. This career field requires individuals who are interested in food safety, food defense, public health, mathematics, food chemistry, and biology.
I have a heavy emphasis in science, so I was very interested in this job.
After successfully completing Army Basic Combat Training, you will attend 8 weeks of advanced individual training at Fort Sam Houston, Texas. As a veterinary food inspection specialist, you will be responsible for ensuring all food is safe for human consumption by evaluating packaging, packing, and marking requirements, identifying unsanitary conditions in food storage facilities and commissary stores, evaluating vendor supply contracts and deliveries to ensure compliance, operating and maintaining inspection equipment, performing duties in accordance with approved standards of conduct, and reporting suspected fraud. Following your successful completion of all required training, you will be eligible for assignments around the world.
Having the opportunity to deploy in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, you see that your mission is so vital to the warfighters.
68 Romeo, we're one of 2 MOSs that has the opportunity to serve across multiple services.
As a soldier, you will also have the opportunity to further your military and civilian education with additional specialized training or through college courses. Your military experience may help you in your transition from the military to the civilian workforce, where you may pursue a career as a food inspector and auditor with various government agencies and civilian food producers.
Food inspection, it's a high demand skill set that will always be there and it'll never go away.
Veterinary food inspection specialists, protecting the health and welfare of service members and their families, and the financial interests of the government.
We are live segment, but sorry that little feedback there. But we've also been deployed together, not in the same unit, but it's the Army friendship. You know, we might be worlds apart and come together for a short amount of time, and we stay friends, possibly Army family for life. So I am truly honored and grateful to have W01 brand new Warrant Officer Courtney Stewart for our interview. Thank you for joining us today, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it's super weird to be a ma'am now.
Yes, yeah. So when we met, you were a sergeant in the MOS of a 68 Romeo, which was veterinary foods inspection specialist. So, and now you are a food safety officer going through school.
Yes.
So, and we're going to go through all that here in a second, but I want to let our viewers know that, hey, this is a live interview. So if you have a question for Warrant Officer Stewart, please leave it down in the comments. We will answer those questions. But for our segment, what we're going to do is go through and see what made you join the Army, what have you done in the military, what has the military done for you, what are you achieving while you're in, and other things that follow suits, like family time, what you're going to do when you retire from the military, what are your bucket lists. I want to know everything. So, and that's really the purpose of Soldier of the Hour. For an hour, I'm going to talk about you and only you and what you do in the Army. Well, I hope you're ready. And for our viewers, ask your questions. You're talking to a real soldier. I'm a recruiter. You guys think that we're just here to, sell you a line. Here's a brand new Mercedes for a low price of, 99 cents. But that's not the case. I want you guys to know what it's like to be a soldier in the Army and all the different jobs we have. We have 150 jobs. And not only that, we have reserve jobs too. And you are a reservist enlisted, switching over to reservist officer. So I want to know all about it. And you have a very unique job.
not it was not a known thing. One of my girlfriends came home from her civilian job one day and said, "Hey, you want to join the Army with me?" And I said, "Okay." And so so we started running and working out together. I worked at a daycare at the time, and I loved it. And I knew that if I didn't go a different route, I would never go to college. I would never leave because I loved working with all those babies. So that was what motivated me to leave, was I will join the Army, get my education, and then go back and run the daycare, not just work there. So that was my idea. Yeah. So 2006, joined, upset father. I left 2 weeks before my girlfriend for basic training, and she ended up not joining the Army at all. So to this day, she's not in the Army, but I love her, and I'm here because of her. So
What is she doing?
yeah, she is a nurse in Indiana. She's a registered nurse.
Well,
So,
still
yeah.
two great careers. You're in the military doing what you love, and she still became very successful in whatever her endeavors are. So still, I mean, and you're still friends.
Yeah, yep. So it worked out fantastic for her. So when I joined the Army, I was actually active duty. A couple years after I got in, I chose to get out of active duty, and I got out completely and went into the IRR, then inactive ready reserves. And 2 years after that, I said, nope, I need the Army back in my life. So then I joined the reserves. And since then, let's see, I have done multiple humanitarian missions. I've been sent to El Salvador and Dominican Republic. I've done some things locally within our community as well, whether it's getting a tour at a zoo, getting a tour of a local food facility. I've done a lot of cross training with our tangos, the 68 tangos, which is your veterinarian technicians. So, and with that, I've just learned a lot about animal handling and our processes for stateside and deployment purposes on what we do with the tangos. And I get to hang out with the military working dogs, which is the best thing ever.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to be a 31 kilo so bad, but it's a lot of work, and those are not pets. There are tools that we use to make sure that we bring our men and women home. So,
Yeah.
but still an awesome job to have.
Yes, it is. And to watch them just train and interact with their handlers. It's absolutely amazing. Probably my favorite military members by far is those military working dogs.
Man, I don't know about you, but I volunteer every time to get into the bike suit. I don't know why, but I just.
Nope. I like to volunteer other people. Yeah. But I've never personally done it.
It's an experience. Very adrenaline. Love it.
Yeah. So I've been married to my husband since 2012, and he is in the Air Force and has just signed up to switch over to Space Force.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So that's going to be a new adventure when that begins. I don't know the ins and outs of it or anything, so I don't want to talk out of line. But
we active duty people, I mean, we have questions too. Like, we're gonna have to talk offline.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't tell me about that.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah. Sorry, I failed you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
More stuff.
We're excited about it. Plus, it's super cool to say my husband's in the Space Force.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So he does secret squirrel stuff and seems to have a really good time doing what he does. We have a 12-year-old daughter who is like my life. She's kind of a little mini me, kind of not a little mini me. So I think I'm doing a pretty good job with her. We're getting her on the right path here. And then we have 2 doggos that are pretty spoiled. So, yes.
And that's you rolled up in this nice little pretty little blip.
Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I can talk about my civilian job.
Say, oh yes, oh yeah, please. What is your civilian job?
Yeah, so as a reservist, I have I have two successful careers, I like to say. I have a pretty successful military career in the reserves. And then as a civilian, I'm actually a federal employee for the Air Force. So then I work on the Air Force Academy on USAFA is what it's referred to as, where our future officers that go to our Air Force military school. So, which is pretty awesome. I work with our 4-year international cadets. So a lot of people don't know that they exist, but we've been doing it since the late 1960s. We can have up to 60 international cadets that are here for 4 years that start as freshmen at any given time. So we can never have more than 60. So it's super cool to work with a lot of international countries and people, and yeah.
No,
so
that's,
that.
yeah, that's interesting. And anybody who has not been to the Air Force Academy, it is huge. It is beautiful. They're doing stuff on there all the time. I go on there just to go horseback riding. I don't know if you know, but there's a dude ranch back there, and I just love to just get away from Colorado Springs, Fort Carson, and just take a horse and just, you know, ride your worries away.
Yeah, it's every time I drive on to that base, I'm always like, oh, I'm so lucky to work here. It's just beautiful. Even when the weather is not beautiful, it's always beautiful. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm. So even though you presented your life in a nutshell, in a blink of an eye, rolled up, there's so much more to your career. And I really want to dig in deep and ask you those questions. And for our viewers too, if you have a question about how can she do both jobs, a federal job and another government job, and how those, especially working cross branches, how do those affect, do you fuse? Is it easier to get in? Those are some of the questions you may have. Don't be afraid to ask, because you won't know unless you ask. And then we might be able to point you in the right way. So please leave your comments below. So you mentioned that your girlfriend got you interested in joining. Why the Army and not the Air Force or any other branches at that time?
We were located at an Army installation. We were at Fort Lewis, Washington, and her husband was active duty Army. So we just kind of forgot about the other branches. So yeah, and then when I was speaking with the recruiter, it actually worked out in my favor, because I told him that I work at a daycare and I see people in uniform come and do inspections. And so I want to do what they do. And he told me, oh, it's a 68 Romeo. So he encouraged me to go this path. Once I joined, I realized it was actually a 68 Sierra, which is more public medicine, public health lane. So, but it's still, we cross lines. We have some gray areas where we can both cover each other's jobs. So yeah, that's how, just a freak accident. And that Corps is only in the Army. So
that is cool. I was looking at some of the research that you gave me, and the Air Force tried to do it, and the government's like, nope, Army, sorry.
Yep.
So I mean, more work for us, which job security and all that great stuff, but you got to be Army to do the vet stuff. So
yes,
did you have any issues going through the recruiting process, testing or job selection or anything like that?
No, my recruiter just walked me through the process. This is back in 2006, before awesome people like you were around, I'm sure. He just walked me through the process. It was super easy, told me where to sign, and then that was it. Off I went.
Did your family were like, oh no, not my baby girl?
They were more shocked than anything. They're like, what? Like, we never thought you would join the military, let alone the Army. So that's all it was. Once they got over it, they were like, all right, you're going to do good things.
No, that's great. No, I mean, yeah. And then you got was this your
no, I lied. Sorry, it's been a little bit. It was this or dental hygiene. But dental hygiene, the wait list was so long that I said, nah, I'm just going to go the Romeo path. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no, that's great. So now, why does the veterinary foods inspection specialist, why, I mean, it's just weird. It shouldn't be in the medical field. Why does it fall in the veterinarian, phase? Do you know that? Why?
So, yeah, the way it was explained to me, and I could definitely be wrong, so please do not say this is exactly why it's there, is that you have the veterinarians that take care of the living, and then you have the food inspectors that take care of the deceased animals. So they kind of squish us together because we have very small career fields.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it was brought up to me.
And very interesting. I would like to know a little bit more, because I was looking at the history, and you guys are not that old. You guys are 35, 36, 37 years old.
Mhm.
I had to age myself real quick.
Yeah.
You guys are right when I was around somewhat born in
But
that
not
time
quite.
frame. Yeah, so you guys are not really that old. So your history, I'm trying to dig deep to do my research, and it's a lot of questions, at least for me, to know more, so I can help others if this is a career path they want to go to. But I'm glad that we have a chance to talk to you. Basic training was 10 weeks, and then AIT was at Fort Sam Houston. How was that traveling?
Well, we didn't have a COVID issue, so it was a little easier for sure to travel around and to get things done. No, school was intense, probably, because you just have a lot of just food inspection stuff thrown at you, So, but the instructors are really good, and they do their best to take their time and ensure you understand before they move on. My class, we didn't really do study groups, but now that I'm older, it's definitely something we always do in all military schools I go to, is we get together our own study groups to prepare for future tests, or, so we can develop more upon our.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Sorry, everybody. I guess we're having some technical difficulty. We're streaming on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So please, pardon the technical difficulties. So We were talking about how confident going through this school made you a better cook versus being afraid to feed your family and possibly give them food poisoning. But you know, now you're a champ. You're just making everything you can make.
Yes, yeah, I am. And there's some things I take advantage of, like it's expired, but I know it's good because we deal with expired products in my
So
crew.
can you go into a little bit more detail of exactly what well, I would say not all of your duties, but what are some of the duties that your job that you have to do within your job?
Yes, I can. I don't want to mess it all up. So in our job, you have your basic food inspection stuff. You learn how to handle eggs. You learn how to weigh food products. If you're in a commissary setting, you look through contracts that we have with these manufacturer companies. Maybe you have breaded shrimp, and so you need to take the breading off of the shrimp and weigh the shrimp to ensure that the Army is receiving the product that they purchased, because you don't want to purchase, breaded shrimp that's supposed to be 10 pounds of meat, and then it's only 7 pounds of meat, and then the rest is that extra breading. So we verified keeping honest people honest. We do truck inspections to ensure when the food is transported from its destination to us that it was transported properly. You want to make sure that it was, chilled properly or frozen or whatever along those lines it's supposed to be, and clean. Any refrigeration failures, freezer failures on the actual installation itself, we deal with all that stuff. Our bread and butter is MREs. Do the inspections on the MREs. We actually inspect the packaging, the food product.
So for viewers, MRE is ready to eat meals. This is what it's like a package meal that you would give to a soldier out in the field that does not access to a chow hall, and they'll eat that. And it's what, 2,000 calories and each service package, something around there?
Yeah, it's a good amount of calories, but it's got a lot of food in there. So the MRE is supposed to be one MRE for one, busy soldier for the entire day. So if you're on an MRE, you shouldn't be eating, 3 MREs a day. You should only be getting the one, but
Hey, for any of my active duty or reserve soldiers that are watching this, put down what is your favorite MRE, and we'll have a debate later on. So
yeah. What is yours?
Mine is, I think it's some kind of like meaty stew. I don't know. I forget, because they changed. I used to like the ones where they had the hot dogs in it, but that was back like in 2005 when they were just starting to transfer over. We didn't have no vanilla latte in our.
Yeah.
What is yours?
So I used to actually have them memorized by the candy. Because that's all I ever wanted was the candy. So MREs, it's actually really funny that MREs were created, food is morale. I'm a firm believer that food is morale. So when MREs were created, they actually over time started putting name brand products in the MREs. So when, soldiers, sailor, airmen, military members in general open their MRE, they can see something from home, no matter where they are in the world, right? So they'll see their Skittles brand, their M&M's brand, something along those lines. And a lot of times people like to get critical about what they're eating in their MREs. But honestly, besides the main course, your peanut butter and your jelly and your pretzels and all that stuff, those are all name brand products. We repackage it, but those are name brand products. And people, may criticize them and say they're not that good. But I'm like, you buy those pretzels at Walmart, the same brand. Yes.
I had no clue, none.
Yep. Yeah. And then if you ever go through
calorie count for that package, so of course they have to repackage it so you have the serving amount.
Correct. So. Yeah, and if you're ever in an MRE factory, we do regular tests. We have actual food inspectors stationed in our MRE factories. And they do daily tests on the actual MRE bags to make sure that they're sealed properly. And you're supposed to apply a certain amount of force to open it, or that's a flaw. And they're always checking this. And it's like sanitary when you go in there, like you're preparing for surgery. You have these employees that have, you know, the full face mask and all have all this stuff, like they're going in and they're just packaging food. So it's very sterile. It's a really cool inspection.
And have you done these?
Yes, I have. It's for morale.
No, I would never thought, just, you know, I thought it was a civilian contractor doing civilian food packaging for the military. It's just, I mean, yeah. I'm amazed. I mean, yeah. I'm learning some great things that I've been in the Army for a hot minute and be like, you know, I had to like use my teeth to open up my MRE. Yeah.
So it is a civilian contractor, but we are there monitoring the process.
And it's the food, I want to get your title right. It's the veterinary food inspector specialist. Those are the soldiers that will go down. Or is it the 60-40 Alpha, the food safety officer that does it?
It's your enlisted side.
The Romeo? Okay.
Romeo. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
So there, I'm sure there is a warrant officer above it as well. I've just never dealt with one that directly has an office in the plant.
So interesting. Yeah. We'll get up after this. I want to see some pictures. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
All right, so, to move it along, I hope you don't mind. We got a little taste of what the Romeos do in and out of school and what some of their duties would be for at each duty assignment. Now, this is not only in garrison, but this is also overseas too, right? So what are some of the duty responsibilities will the Romeo, the enlisted side, do in a deployment setting?
So in a deployment setting, you're going to really look over your food trucks upon delivery. So traditionally, when you come, in the United States, the truck is locked before it can come on base. You have your military members that break the lock, your police officers. On deployment, they are not cut. All your vehicles come on with our special food seal on it. Or they're flown in on an aircraft. And before we accept any of the food, we have to ensure that it matches our invoices specifically, and that it has all of the proper coding on it so that it is our product. A special thing we do on deployment is extend the life of expired products, because food is morale. I remember when we were deployed together, I had like $10,000 worth of expired Cheetos that I had to do an inspection on because they all came in expired. So, and they were all perfectly fine, and I was able to extend the life and tell the exchange to sell them and get them out.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do you do the inspection? How do you know if they're still good?
So the basics of it is you check the outside of the package, making sure that it's properly sealed, has the proper amount of air in it, however the package is supposed to look. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you want to open it and get the first sniff as soon as you open the food to make sure that it doesn't have any foul odors, any off odors. And then you need to visually inspect the product, right? If the packaging is damaged, you don't need to go any further. If it smells funky, don't go any further. If it looks crazy, do not eat it, because that is the last step. If it passed everything, then you can eat it. Otherwise, do not do that.
Hey, you know what? Some of the guys that we worked with down there, they would eat anything.
They would.
And I mean, anything. You just say, hey, look, man, I'll give you like $1. Chug this dip bottle. Ugh. But they'll do it for $1 because boys are boys.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I'm so glad that you're making sure the food is fresh and still edible. Thank you for doing your job. I appreciate it.
It makes people mad though. When we were in Iraq, we had some of the Starbucks glass beverages delivered.
Mhm.
I don't know, I guess they're like Frappuccinos or something.
Yeah.
And they did not look right. They were chunky.
Oh, I agree. I
Yeah.
got one of those. 100.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
People were so mad at me when I told the PX they had to remove them and they could not sell them. People were so upset because they haven't seen those and we don't know how long. I was like, I understand, but you can't. I don't know what's going on with it. Leave it alone.
You can see it in the bottle. Like, I would not drink it. Don't. You're gonna get sick. No. So question for you. So why is a veterinarian food inspecting specialist versus somebody from the defect doing the inspections? Why is it not up to the senior NCO or senior officer from the chow hall doing what you're doing versus you because you're only one person and they have a whole staff.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between you two? How come you're able to do what you could do and it takes off not necessarily all the liability off the defect staff?
Yeah, so it's trust but verify. That's why we're here. Yeah. So they have a lot that they have to do and they have a lot of employees and they have a lot of moving parts and you can easily miss things. So depending on the facility will depend if we go in once a week, once a month, once a quarter, once a year, so on. So defects are traditionally visited by us once a week. As long as there's no issues, we come in once a week at random, check things out, let you know if we have any concerns. That way, whoever's in charge can address it with, employees, because there's a lot of logs that we look at that they use for record keeping. So that's all it is. It's just trust but verify. It's an open book test.
You can't go wrong with that.
No.
So do you label the places like because I assume on Garrison when you're in there in the food court, are you also the ones that are labeling the code, the Alpha, Bravo, Charlie or F, you're shut down until you pass inspection or code? Are you the group that does that?
So it's for the active duty side, I want to say it's going to be your public health and your vet corps working together, because there's certain things that when we come across on inspection, we kind of need to stop and then get public health involved, and then our 68 Sierras, then they come out and then do their part, and then we'll collaborate to move forward. So, and at the end of the day, it's honestly like the installation commander's decision to do what he or she wants. So just because we say, I don't recommend eating here, look at all these issues we found, look at all the times we've inspected them and tried to correct them and they're not cooperating. If that commander chooses, they can choose to just let that company do business as usual. So traditionally they listen to us, but it's always their choice.
Yeah. Because I do see some of the chow halls, they do get a rating. They do get an Alpha or a Bravo or a Charlie, whatever the case may be. Fort Leonard Wood is where I promptly see it more than anywhere else. And they have an A rating. I haven't really seen it at Fort Polk. And I don't remember if I saw one at our defect when we were deployed. Do you remember them having a rating?
I don't remember seeing a rating. I've never, when I was active duty, that was not a thing that I did. So I'm not trained to even look for a rating at a defect. Yeah.
So I'm just curious because if you have a question, you guys, this is a live interview, put it down. That would be something I would be interested if you guys had a hand in that. All right. So what made you get out of the service and go to active?
Well, I got out of active duty and went into the IRR because I was pregnant with my daughter, and I decided that I didn't want to raise her in that environment. So I chose to get out and then got right back in as a reservist after that, because I was like, this stay-at-home mom business is a lot. So I got back in so I could finish up going to college and be a stay-at-home mom with her.
You say finish up college. Now you're talking about your bachelor's degree? How are you doing for that?
So I used tuition assistance to pay for my bachelor's degree. And then I used a little bit of my GI Bill as well.
Okay, so for our viewers, if you don't know, our tuition assistance, you get that while you're in active. It's $4,000 a year. You can use it for in-classroom use or online use. Most of the soldiers do it for online just because it's more easier on our schedule. But it's free money while you're in just to go to school. I mean, you don't have to touch your GI Bill or your Montgomery GI Bill / post 9/11 bill. Sorry. It's the end of the day. I need caffeine. So I mean, we want you to be smart cookies in the military, and how we do that is by giving you free money to go to school and get your education. So, sorry I got off on a little tangent there, but you got your bachelor's degree after your little girl was born?
Yes, that I did.
What degree plan was that?
Bachelor's in psychology.
Yeah. Are you gonna go down on us?
No. Yep.
So go ahead. I'm
tuition
sorry.
assistance is offered by reserves as well. So as a reservist, you can get tuition assistance.
Nice.
Yes.
So how long was your contract when you switched over?
When I switched over, I went in for 6 years.
And
then
job?
Hmm?
And you still got to pick your job, the job that you originally enlisted for?
Yeah, I went in and I just immediately told him, hey, I'm in the IRR. This was my MOS when I was active duty. I want to go back in the reserves. And he says, well, this is great. They work right here in this building.
All right, you can start tomorrow.
Yeah. So it worked out really well for me. And then after my first 6 years with them, I re-enlisted for a bonus. And then, yeah, which was nice. I got 10,000 as a food inspector.
Wow. And this is all within the Romeo. This is a 68 Romeo job.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then, okay, so during that time frame, obviously you were an NCO. So how was your ALC, your advanced schooling?
I didn't do any of that. So as reserves, depending on the type of unit you're in, sometimes it's hard to get funding and slots. And so schooling is like a year or two behind sometimes. And then it also depends on like how eager the soldier is to get to said schools, right? So most of the time we're a little bit behind though on our training.
Okay. So while you were reserved, did you have that secondary job right away, or when did you start applying for the Air Force Academy job? Like when did those two merge?
Oh, so those merged when my daughter went to kindergarten, and I decided I should probably start adulting more and get my first real job outside of the military. And actually, it's because of my military experience is why I got into it. So I first used my DD-214 from the military to get into the NAF side of the house. And I networked and learned about all the different jobs that were offered there. And one of my bestest friends in the world who eventually hired me was in charge of food inspection as a GS employee on the Air Force Base. And she said that we need you. So yeah, I applied for the position and I met the qualifications. And so I started off there as a GS7 and then promoted up to a GS9. And then my husband got orders from where we were in California to Colorado. And I got back from my deployment and moved to Colorado and started applying for jobs out there. And again, because of my military experience, I was also hired there. Because you pick up a lot of skills in the reserves, probably more random skills than what you would if you were active duty, I feel. So I did a lot of admin stuff just because we needed people to do admin stuff. So I learned how to do it. I learned about, a lot of different military programs that traditionally you would have other shops handle, but in the reserves, you handle it in-house. So yeah, and I just based off of my experience and the opportunities offered to me and mentors, it was easy for me to go GS, knock on wood. Hopefully I stay that way.
No, that's awesome. So, I mean, you're essentially getting double the benefits for retirements and all that, you know, other benefits that come with the job. From our viewers, hey, if you guys have a comment, put it down. I'm going to stop right here real quick. I have a comment from earlier on this week when we were advertising your job listing. So we have a question. Let me find it real quick. Was your chain, so this is a two-part question. Did you pay out of pocket for your college degrees, which we already answered that? You use your tuition assistance. And then was your chain of command supportive of you going through the process? Did they give you time off? Was there any issues for you doing your finals?
So interesting enough, when I was active duty, my command told us you either need to enroll into college or start doing all of the Army correspondence courses. So they were like, you're going to educate yourself one way or another. So they really pushed it when I was active duty. And then as a reservist, once a year, they gave us a brief about civilian education and just what the benefits we have, and that we're not taking advantage of certain things. And so, yeah, they were very supportive. The only time it gets a little iffy is when we're activated for our annual training as a reservist. It's about 2 to 3 weeks out of the year that you work at once. And some people like to say, oh, I have a final, or I have this stuff for, so sometimes commanders are not very supportive in those moments. But it just depends on your communication with your commands. As long as you're communicating, they're very supportive.
Reasonable. You know, you can't say the day or the night of, hey, I have a final. I'm like, how long have you known this? You should have, let me know a week ago or a month ago. So we also have a live comment I want to bring to attention to. Joshua Easton, he asked, what is the coolest thing you've done in your current job?
In my current job, well, I love finding MREs or food products in general that are gross. Or like contaminated in some way. I love it. Yes, I can't explain it, but if I open up, an MRE that's been sitting in a hot Connex for I don't know how many years, which happened in Kuwait, and these were from the 1980s. Wow. And you opened it and it just like poofed open with dust, and then you open the cheese and it's like brown, like the package. I love that stuff. Yeah. So anything that makes my job exciting. I love so many things that I do. I love that. I love talking about my job because I think it's cool. So does my 12-year-old daughter. So that says it all.
Oh, could be a mini food inspector.
Yeah, working with the animals. I just like the diversity that I can do with my job. And yeah, it makes me happy to do my job.
No, it's exciting because it's not a job when you are truly passionate about what you do. You're excited to come to work. You're not dragging your feet, and then you're getting everybody else motivated. So you're just happy to be there. Yeah. And the charisma spreads.
Going on food audits, me as a warrant officer now, I don't do really defect inspections now. So now my mission is actually like farm and manufacturer inspections. Is kind of what it is. So going to a processing plant, super cool. Super cool to like see how your stuff is made and packaged. And yeah, super cool. That's all I can say. I'm so excited now.
So many questions. I don't want to get off track because that is a rabbit hole that I would love to go down. But that is interesting. So you do also commercial inspection on behalf of the Army, making sure that it is up to par for what we're purchasing.
Yeah, you cannot obtain any food on any military installation unless it was already approved by a commissioned officer or a warrant officer.
So interesting. Yeah. So I missed an earlier question from Joshua Easton. It was a two-part question, so I apologize. His question is, where did the Sloppy Joe MRE, can we get off the MREs? We need to like move on into our conversation, but we'll answer this one if you know the answer. Where did the Sloppy Joe MREs go? And when are we getting the MRE pizza? I've had the MRE pizza and it's not all it's cracked up to be.
So I don't know when that one left. They got rid of the omelet, which most people were excited about, but some weren't. But what we do with our MREs is they actually do surveys and they ask things, and so they get rid of products and they try to change things up over time. It's a slow process, but it still happens. So for maybe some people were doing surveys and asked for it to go, so it did.
Hey, it's important to fill out your surveys, you guys.
Yes.
So you said that you've done some missions down in El Salvador and Dominican Republic. What's that about? Can you dive a little bit into what you were doing?
Yeah, so both of those were animal missions, which was really cool, and I really appreciated. So what we did no, I lied to you. So El Salvador, I was there as a medic because we were we were doing a joint force thing. We were there with it was Air Force, Marine Corps, everybody was there with both missions. And specifically, I went to a schoolhouse every day that we were building in a neighborhood. So I was there for medical support in case anybody, typically it was dehydration was the issue. Some people were eating local food, which they should not have been because people like me didn't inspect it and they were getting bubble gut and then they couldn't do their job. And so they would be sitting in the ambulance with me and I'd be shaking my head at them. I was there with their sunscreen because you have these, American men running around thinking they don't need sunscreen from, Alabama. And it was a big Southern unit. So yeah, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee
Kind of even
area.
That
Yeah, I'm like, no, they were getting fried. I'm like, put on some sunscreen. So I was there like as a mom, but I was there in a medic role. So yeah, we built a school.
But moms are medics. Moms are medics.
That was really awesome. The Air Force group I was with, they let me be a D1 operator, Delta 1, which is a shovel person. They handed me a shovel. I was like, what? I'm going to go back to my ambulance now.
Oh, wow. They're trying to turn you into a grunt.
Yeah. So, but it was a lot of fun. I do remember though, when I first got to El Salvador, it was late at night and it's been raining and some of the people that I flew in with lost their luggage. So we were at the airport way too long. And we get there and the female tent, because of the storms, literally caved in. Except for like one side. So like the three females that were in there, they just scooched their cots over and left. And I was so upset. I was like, oh my gosh. So I collected myself, put it back together the best I could in the middle of the night with not knowing where I was. Yeah, and tried my best to not get wet. Of course, I was on the wet side of the tent, but made it work. In the morning, we all worked together and fixed it. And they apologized too. They're like, I'm sorry that we were already in bed. I was like, I'd probably do the same. So
like, where's that ambulance? I'm gonna go sleep in the back of the ambulance.
Right. It was before we did our changeover, so I didn't have that yet. Yeah. And mango, my first experience with a mango, ever eating a mango and literally being knocked in the head with one. So yeah, because they just grew in the trees and just fell occasionally. So that was exciting.
Picked it up, brushed it off, and just had a bite.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun though. A lot of fun. Interesting. It was humanitarian, so we didn't have any weapons or anything. We had the El Salvadorian military there for our support. So some of them did have weapons when we were convoying to and from the base, and Intel were the ones that made the decision on the type of support we needed when we were driving out. We were supposed to do like a, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like a morale day when we got to like go off and go do some sightseeing and some approved sites. but there were protests or something, and so they had to cancel it. So I didn't get that part.
But you got to go over there. I mean, just the experience of that and helping another area is, well worth, the heartache.
Yep. I call them my paid vacations.
Right?
So,
That's what I said. I mean, you're knocking off stuff on my bucket list. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is I get to do so many things with the Army Reserves, and I'm paid to do it. And there's people that pay money to do the things, and I'm making money to do the
right.
So that's like my favorite part. And as a GS employee, I get, I believe it's 80 hours a year of military pay. So basically for 80 hours a year, I get paid while I'm like right now, I'm here. I'm getting paid for my job back in Colorado, and I'm being paid for here. So I have no reason to be crabby because I'm making pretty good money.
Right.
So yeah.
Smart decisions, great job opportunities. And it's just, you need to just get into a recruiting office and talk to your recruiter about, the jobs that are in your interest that, that can help you exceed in later in life, because the Army is only here for you for a certain amount of time. Once that time passes, you don't get any of the benefits that you would get if you were using it as a stepping stone to further enhance your career. So it's just one of those benefits that, it's sad that not a lot of people take advantage of it. So we're running out of time, but I really want to you have so much stuff I want to talk about. So I'm going to kind of narrow it down a little bit more, but you have a phenomenal career in the reserves. And this is my first reserve video that we are doing. So I just want more time with you. We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about real quick. Do you go into so another question is that asked later on was, what is the difference between a garrison environment, a field environment, and a deployed environment? I know you touched on garrison and deployment, but is there really a training? Do you go out in the field with the soldiers, or are you mainly working in the garrison environments?
So in the reserves and active duty, you actually have, you can go either or. So active duty, it's garrison side versus, was it TDA? That's kind of chosen for you. And typically, whatever you go to first in your career, you kind of stay in that your whole career unless you specifically get a change. So like when I was active duty, I was in a non-deployable garrison environment. I took care of the base itself. I didn't have to worry about deploying, didn't go into the field. That wasn't what we did. Our deployable unit was also on Fort Lewis, and they spent a lot of time in the field. They would spend, sometimes they would come cross-train with us so they could see what we do on the base. But yeah, they just practice, sea burn environments. Yeah, because that's food vulnerability, right? Just food vulnerability in general when you're in a deployed environment. So those were the two different ones. As a reservist, you kind of choose. Like I've been in six different Army Reserve units, and I've transferred 8 times, I believe, in my career.
You really got around.
Yeah. I've been in some deployable and some non-deployable stuff.
That's cool. No, that's really cool, because when I talk to a reserve person, they're like, I'm stuck here, I'm bored, I don't like the unit, I want to go do something. I'm like, well, go do it. You have the opportunity, apply and move. Yeah. So it's just refreshing to see somebody who's actually a success and that advocates for it. So it's just super refreshing. Question, what kind of special training is given for your MOS?
What kind of special training?
Do you get a certificate, a license? Do you get anything that would take this and take it to a civilian side to say, hey, look, I'm certified, I can do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. So one of we do get it. We go through a couple of things. So when you go through AIT specifically, you come out with your serve safe, like your food handler sort of license. So like if you worked at a restaurant, it's the same quality that you get. And then when you're an NCO, you get the food handler management one, which is a little more in depth than that. And then you can progress from that knowledge, and you can get, there's a lot of colleges that do free courses for us. You can do FDA classes that if you work through your chain of command, they can put you in those classes for free, or they will at least cover the cost. It's CDC as well. We do some CDC stuff, and the WHO, we do some stuff with them. But you don't come out with anything specific outside of a few certificates. But once you're in, like for me as a warrant officer, I can apply to get my bachelor's, because you don't need a bachelor's to be a warrant in my career field. An associate is what's required for my career field. So they will pay, you will literally be a student for 2 years as a warrant officer, I believe a CW2, and you can obtain your bachelor's or your master's. And some people, to my understanding, are interested in using it to get a second bachelor's or master's. So 3 people in my career field can be selected for this program a year, which is pretty cool.
That is awesome. Yes, I forget the name of it, but I just interviewed Captain Smith. She used to be my commander from Fort Polk. She's going through a process to get her second master's degree. The first one she paid out of pocket. The second one, the Army is paying her to get it in the logistics. So awesome program. And speaking of degrees, you're working on your master's right now?
I am. Yes, I start in August. I'm so excited.
How are you paying for that?
GI Bill.
Yeah, get it. No money.
Yeah.
No money out of your pocket, all through the mail.
And then I will be able to use tuition assistance as well to save some of my GI Bill if I want to use it for a certificate. Because my GI Bill, I don't have to use it just for college. I can use it for certificates within my career field as well.
The COOLS program?
Outside. Yeah.
Have you looked into the COOLS program?
Not specifically yet, no.
I was doing my research, and there's a lot of certificate or schooling, online classes and stuff that the GI Bill and tuition assistant covers. Look into it. There's at least a dozen I saw, and it varies between cost and applying and then other things in that nature. And I'll show you once we're done with our interview, but there's actually a lot that you could do after. So it's very interesting. What made you, okay, so question for you. This is a question from me to you. What made you go after the warrant officer? What made you transition from the Romeo to the Alpha?
Well, when I was in basic training, when I was getting on my bus to leave, I saw my first warrant officer and I was just awestruck. What are you? Right? And so then I learned and I just decided that's what I wanted to be from that moment. So yeah, and then it helped that my mentor is a warrant officer. That definitely helped.
Nice. Who's your mentor?
It's Chief Warrant Officer Kimberly Jordan.
Well,
yes.
I'm so glad that you have inspired from an individual that you could take and pull information from. It is very important while you're in the service to have a mentor to ask these questions, because everybody has a dumb question, and don't be afraid to ask those questions because you just don't know. You've done your research, or you just want another opinion, another eye, someone who's been through the process. So that's great. And, I recommend everybody to have that mentor. So how difficult is it for you to work on an Air Force base and being a reservist in the Army?
So it's not difficult. Sometimes I have issues with time management. So I gotta watch that, but it's actually personally, I feel like it makes my roles easier because there's certain military websites that work better on a government computer. So even though I'm an Air Force employee as a civilian, I work on a government computer, so I can access majority of my Army websites that way versus, some people have to fight with their civilian computers. Yeah, so it makes it easier when I'm not procrastinating or,
So, okay, so let's talk about, I'm going to just take a step back. So what's the process for you to transition from the Romeo to the warrant officer? What kind of packet did you fill out, and what were some of the pre-qualifying things you need to get done to put the packet in?
Yeah, so Sergeant First Class Campbell was the recruiter who contacted me because of my mentor, Miss Jordan, who told him that I need to do it. So he guided me through the process. Recruiters, you guys are all awesome. You make life easy for people like me. He told me what to do. I had to get my DA photo. I had to get all of my military achievements together, whether they're awards in schools. The main qualifying factor for warrant officer in my career field is experience. So you need to make sure your military documents were updated to reflect that experience. Mm-hmm. And then letter of intent, letter of recommendations. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, you say experience. What was the soonest that you're able to try out and put your packet in? Because if you saw that you want to be a warrant officer when you were just starting off your career, it's been a couple years.
Yeah, it's been.
So, I mean, is it because that final push, somebody's like, hey, you've had your time, you're going to be an excellent officer, just do it, versus whenever you're just like, okay, I think I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and put my packet in. So what was the time frame? Is it 4 years, 6 years?
On average, from what I'm seeing in my class, it seems like 7 to 8 years is on average, because majority of people have 7 to 8 years in my career field. Okay. But all the ones that have 7 to 8 years, they all have their bachelor's or master's already. Mm-hmm. Everybody else who has more time in, majority of them only have an associate's. So I feel like that degree played a part in it as well. But I could definitely be wrong, because again, it's all based off experience. It took me so long to put one together because I personally didn't feel like I had enough experience being a reservist, because I'm not doing the job every day. And my mentor kept pushing me. And she's like, no, just do it. You have plenty. I know what I'm talking about. So,
yeah, you were rocking it down in Iraq, man. You were telling people, like, you were confident, you were assertive, you knew the regs. So, I mean, I'm surprised that, you haven't been accepted back then. I mean, you're just a very successful individual working on your own and an entire base of, other national identities. You're working with the Army, you're working with the Marines. So, I mean, and it's just you by yourself and, trying to keep us all safe.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the unique thing about our career field is, yeah, I was on there's many times when you're on a one woman, one man mission. So because we are so small. So yeah, that was a unique experience, and fake it till you make it sometimes.
All right, so we're going way over time. I'm going to kind of wrap this up, and I don't want to rush you because this is still great information. Is there anything else that if a young soldier that was looking into this career field, even in the officer realm or the enlisted side, what are some of the advice you would give them to pursue this job?
To do this job specifically, it's the Army's best kept secret, first of all, for sure. To be a veterinarian, I know some of my veterinarians get very large bonuses. They have loan repayment programs. This does help you work towards your goal for college. If coming in, I want to do something in public health, even just in the civilian section, or I really want to work with animals and be an animal technician right now. This is the place to start and start building up your experience for application purposes. And a lot of this stuff is waived when you do apply for college programs.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. So you've mentioned that, and that's great information. And hopefully our viewers, if you're thinking about this job, you got the inside knowledge right here. Again, even if this video is ended, you can still answer your question or ask your questions, and we'll get to them. I promise. We look at the old videos and we try to answer any questions you may have. So I'll make sure that the ma'am, WO1, hopefully soon to be 2, will answer your questions from her. versus me doing my research. But you can have either answer. You can have my research answer or from her mouth, from the experienced person. You're working on your second degree, which is a master's. You're going to start, and you got accepted to University of Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado Springs.
So what is this one going to be under?
So this is actually going to be a dual major for me. So it's going to be public admin and sociology.
And what is this working towards?
My ultimate goal and dream is to be in like the Sapper and Sharp office. Mm-hmm. So I never foresee myself even, I don't know, 50 years from now. Up until I'm permanently retired, I can't see myself not working with the military. So even when I'm long gone and retired, I will still be on one of these military bases.
Mm-hmm. So what is drawing you to this program to be a victim advocate for military members? What is drawing you to do that specifically? If that's your end goal, what is drawing you to that?
I love just mentoring and being there and supporting people. I've just kind of learned over time that that's like my calling. So I really want to be there to support, victims, survivors. In the Army, I'm also trained for like the suicide gatekeeper. So I'm there to help try to prevent suicide for, any military members. And it's just in a special place in my heart.
No, seriously, it's an honorable tasking. It's a very honorable thing to do, because not everybody has the mental strength to recover, because you're going through the same thing what they're going through, to give them an understanding and to help guide them out of that dark area. So they're coming out of that hole to seek more medical help and attention, but then you have to deal with their story, and you have to be resilient enough to go back to work with a smile on your face and do it all over again for somebody else who has another incident that happened. So I mean, that takes somebody strong to do it. And I applaud you for even, considering it, because it takes this very special person to do it. So thank you for being our advocate and helping our servicemen and women. So, yeah. So we're coming to a closer. I'm going to fire off some quick questions that we have. So these are going to be a quick answer, very quick.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm reading all of my questions over here, so give me a second. What draws you to your MOS, to the Romeo? What drew you to that job?
It was chosen for me.
Okay. If you weren't in the Army right now, what would you be doing? Would you still be dealing with the little ones?
I would probably still be working with children. Probably like a teacher, most likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What grade?
Elementary.
Elementary?
Yeah.
Okay. Being in the service for so long, what keeps you coming to work each day?
I love the soldiers. I love it. I will put my rank down any day for soldiers. That's why I'm here.
You are a great leader, and we need more people like you that are caring and passionate, know their job. And you know what? With all these smiles and your bubbly personality, you're a hard ass. Like, your stuff, and you're not afraid to hey, look, stop, time out. I know my regulations. I know where my boundaries are, and you do not. You're just putting your opinion in, and we're not dealing with opinions. We're dealing with facts. So you're a hard charger. So don't let that bubbly personality fool you guys.
Yeah. Don't.
How much family time do you have?
I do a lot of family time. So I'm really lucky, because me personally, I will not join a reserve unit that is not family oriented. That's my own personal belief that I stand by very hard. And then working for the Air Force, they've always just been very family oriented. I think just as as their own entity, that's just how they are. So, I mean, my child goes to work with me a lot. When dad's deployed, sometimes she doesn't want to be away from me when I have Army Reserve training. And so she goes with me, and my command understands that. Sometimes there's a holiday at school, but I have to do my civilian job. So she goes to work with me, and they've always been very supportive of that.
Wonderful. You know what? And that is, I'm happy to hear that people are working with our soldiers to continue that connection, that family, because it's not, you work hard, you play hard, but then you also have the little ones back at home that, you know, need you, especially when one parent is away. So I'm very thankful that you have run into great leadership. So, and then you yourself is a phenomenal leader in our Army, and come back to the active side. You know, I'll help with that contract. We can get you going.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Last comments, last chance to ask your comments. I'm going to just look over here at the feed to make sure I didn't forget anybody on our comments. I know we're going way over time, and I apologize, but you just have so much good information. It's one of those kept secrets that we're trying to tell everybody to say, hey, you need to come and do this.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So,
and then you could have a teacher like me.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll sign up again. I'll do another job. So any shout outs? Would you like to say goodbye or hi to anybody?
No, not really. I want to thank my family and my husband's family for always being very supportive. At the drop of a hat, they are always there for us our entire careers. You know, we have military stuff happening, and Lily just goes on a vacation, and she's not really affected by it. You know, she calls it her deployment when she goes away to grandparents' houses. So without the support of, you know, family and friends, we definitely, dual military will be harder for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for everything you've done and everything you're going to do. Stay in touch. We're going to talk a little bit more about this MRE business, so stay online, okay?
Yes.
For my viewers, thank you again for traveling with us for another of the Soldier Hour and learning what Warrant Officer Stewart has gone through her career. If you guys want to know more about the specific MOS, again, you can look it up either by the title, which is the Veterinary and Food Inspector Specialist, the 68 Romeo, or what she does as a warrant officer in the reservists. And you can look underneath 640 Alpha, and it's Food Safety Officer. There you go. Gotta look at my notes everywhere. But seriously, you could Google this, go to goarmy.com. You could review this video for tips and tricks to help you through. If you have questions, write them down, take them to a recruiter. We'll help you answer those questions. Again, this is one of those best kept secrets. I am truly honored that I'm able to get that secret out, okay? You've heard it from another soldier, not a recruiter. So this is good stuff, you guys. Just, you know, call us, text us. Our number is down below or up top. And again, I want you guys to all be safe. There's 3 things to live by: be at the right time, be in the right uniform, and what's the last one?
Right place.
In the right place. There you go. So if you do all 3 of those, you're going to be one squared away soldier. So thank you again, and I will see you next week for the next Soldier of the Hour. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.